sadness, happiness, anger. And to think that in the blink of an eye, these emotions go unnoticed. What I'm describing to you are little things called microexpressions. No pun intended. I personally began to become interested in microexpressions by watching the TV Fox show, Lie to Me. According to survey results, I realized that half of you do not know what Lie to Me is. So I will take the time to provide you with the plot outline. Lie to Me is based around the main character, Dr. Cal Lightman, who is a physical representation of Paul Ekman, a psychologist from the University of California who first identified microexpressions. In the show, the Lightman Group uses microexpressions and other forms of nonverbal movement to detect whether someone is lying. But you may ask, how is this relevant to me? Well, consider this. You walk up to the front of the class getting ready to give your informative speech. Your topic is a bit controversial, and a wave of emotions run through your classmates' faces. These emotions happen so fast that if you had blinked, you would not be able to see them. What do these emotions mean? Can you clearly identify the emotions that were being expressed? You might be thinking right now, how does detecting these emotions help me in terms of public speaking? Well, I'm glad you asked, because today I will be answering the following 3 questions. What are microexpressions? What are the 3 common microexpressions seen today? And what can microexpressions be used for? To begin, let's answer the first question. What are microexpressions? Microexpressions are notably micro-expressions, or small expressions of emotion. What's interesting about microexpressions is that they occur unconsciously on our face in a very small time frame. The ability to recognize these microexpressions allow us to adapt quickly when speaking and not let our audience lose focus. You're going to hear me say this frequently because the key to audience-centered public speaking is being aware of your audience and not letting them lose focus. Nevertheless, the term microexpression was coined specifically by Paul Ekman, the psychologist from the University of California, who first identified these microexpressions. According to the periodical Technology Review, the May-June 2009 issue, titled Telling by Mark Williams, Paul Ekman is the leading figure in facial recognition and lie detection. And he was able to note that microexpressions are sort of fleeting facial expressions that occur on our face 1/25th through 1/5 of a second and genuinely depict our emotions. Having answered what are microexpressions, let's take a look at their second question. What are the 3 common microexpressions found today? Out of the 7 identified universal expressions of emotion, happiness, sadness, and anger are the most common and most frequent in today's society. Happiness can be seen when somebody performs well. This could be athletes or even performing well in public speaking. I personally have seen the microexpression of happiness in professors when they teach something that they love. Our second most common microexpression, sadness, is not common to the keen eye. We usually associate sadness with a physical movement, like crying. However, people who have lost loved ones don't usually hysterically cry, but something in their face tells us that they're sad. Our last common microexpression, anger, is actually the most common and easiest to detect. If you're not careful enough, you may mistake the microexpression of anger with concentrations. I mean, athletes don't run angry, they run concentrated. And this is where they have the same facial movements. Again, I have to stress the fact that though these expressions of emotions are of normal expressions, they actually occur very fast. Now let's take a look at an example. I would like for you to look at this picture and tell me if you notice the microexpression that is being shown. This is a true example of how fast microexpressions can be seen in real life. Are we ready? Did you see it? Let's take a look at it again. Did you see it now? The microexpression that was shown is happiness. And this is how fast they happen in real life. Having answered the question, what are the 3 common microexpressions? The question we should be asking is, what can they be used for? The most practical way that microexpressions can be used is as a lie detection tool. In a common everyday situation, we can also detect whether someone is lying or not by using these microexpressions. We sometimes feel that someone is lying, but we don't know why, or why we even feel this way. This is more directly connected to the fact that microexpressions can be read by our subconscious and sends a message to our body that something is wrong. But lie detection is not the only usage of microexpressions. Microexpressions, more importantly, can be used in terms of public speaking. Like I mentioned in the beginning, whether in a normal conversation or a formal discourse, noticing a small yet fast expression can help a speaker adapt to his or her audience. Why? Because the key to audience-centered public speaking is adapting to your audience quickly enough to not let them lose focus. In conclusion, detecting microexpressions can lead to us adapting quickly to the emotions of our audience and therefore having a better, more memorable speech. Today I have answered the question, what are microexpressions? I also answered and identified what the 3 most common microexpressions are and where they can be found. Lastly, I answered and gave you tips on how to detect microexpressions and use them in terms of public speaking. I offer you a caution and a word of advice. Most microexpressions have to be identified in context, or else information will be skewed. Psychologists such as Paul Ekman try to find out why people experience these emotions rather than identifying the emotion alone. This leads to accurately using microexpressions as a lie detection tool. Therefore, be careful of how you determine what you see. The cliche, "don't judge a book by its cover," can be useful when identifying microexpressions. Like the common adage, there is more than meets the eye.